but it's an all-time classic.
It's an all-time classic. What's an all-time classic?
Are we live?
We're live.
All right. Books,
beer,
networking. We lead with books. Is that?
I believe so. I believe that's what the
Facebook group says?
Yeah.
Then that's what we're called.
That's what we're called.
So we lead with books because every month we do one of these podcasts to review the live conversation we had at Bar Louie about a book we read. So
is this from season 1?
This is the final book of season 1. We
2018.
closed.
Okay.
Yeah. So as we started this group, Rob, and kind of balanced how do we help people get in front of the really, really important stuff, and how can we also get people in front of really interesting, relevant, and popular type titles, right? So when we think of How to Win Friends and Influence People from Dale Carnegie, which was written in pardon my flipping here. It was written in 1936. This obviously isn't current.
So why should I read it?
Right. And it is written the name of the book, How To, it is literally written as a how-to book.
So it's like I was saying before, is like when I first saw this book, and I had it for a long time in my library before I read it. And I looked at it, and I let my ego get in the way of me reading it, because like it was a how to win friends and influence people. I was like, okay, I got a bunch of friends already. I was like, do I really need any more? I'm like, do I influence people? Yeah, I'm an Army sergeant. I do that every day. I tell them what to do. Yeah. So my ego got in the way of me reading the book. But once I read the book, I'm going, oh, there's actually more to it than that.
And we're here at the studio at Exacta, and we were talking with Wendy earlier, and she was talking about intentional, the word intentional. And I think How to Win Friends and Influence People is probably one of the first books people intentionally read when they start to study business and they start to study self-growth. Mm-hmm. And we went back and forth when we first did the book list for season 1, and for season 2, it was a lot easier. But I really wanted this book on there, and you said, Jackson, it's such a boring book, and it's old, and I can't stand the stories in between. Like, I just don't want to read it again. And we had this.
I said that.
Yeah, absolutely, you did that, and 7 Habits as well. We had the same conversation.
Yeah.
And here's the thing: I totally agree. These are not the most interestingly written books, but the
principles are key.
They capture the essence of what needs to happen when we, for this book, for example, things like remember people's name. How often, especially if you're out networking a lot, you meet someone and you're looking at, do they have a name tag? Where do they work? And then you've forgotten their name, and then you try and awkwardly excuse yourself at the end without, hopefully they have a card that saves you. But if they don't have a card, they don't have a name tag, it's weird. So Dale talks about remembering people's names, eye contact, smiling. These are not new. Yeah, listening.
Listening is the most important thing in a conversation.
And going through the strategies of asking those questions, giving people space to talk. I think that dinner party story is probably one of the classic stories in the book. But he talks about how he's sitting next to a botanist, and Dale knows nothing of botany, and this guy is telling him about a project, and Dale starts asking questions, and the guy just goes on and 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 on. And Dale politely listens, and he asks questions where his curiosity follows him. And when he leaves, the botanist tells the host, that Dale Carnegie is the most delightful conversationalist I've ever met. He was wonderful. And when the host told Dale that, Dale said, I didn't say anything. But he listened.
Yeah.
Boy, what do people appreciate?
Being heard.
Being heard, man.
Yeah.
So, so this book, How to Win Friends and Influence People, is how we round out season 1. Incredibly powerful as far as reminding us about the basics of interpersonal skills, building relationships with people, having the right paradigm. We talked about last month's with Bob Berg and The Go-Giver, and thinking about other people, and really having that intention of serving others, which then brings so much more back to us. And I circle back too. So for this year, we have all of the books that we're reading for 2020 on the schedule. And we always meet the third Thursday of the month.
Yep, 4:30.
4:30, new and improved time.
Bar Louie out in Brookfield.
Yeah, we have happy hour specials. We have app specials out there. We cover the book, and then Rob and I do a podcast after for those of us who couldn't make it, and also people who are like, well, this book might look interesting, but maybe I just want to like test it out to make sure that it's going to be worth my time. At the end of this year, at the end of 2020, at the end of season 2, we're going to be covering how to Quit Worrying and Start Living, which is the other classic Dale Carnegie book. Not as well known, but really looking forward to covering that one at the end of the year and, helping everyone get ready for 2021 when it's time to do that.
Yep. And this episode is powered by Elevated Insurance, insured differently, and Local First Podcast Productions.
All right, man. We have our sponsorship in place. Thank you to the businesses who let us do this. Our bosses let us come out and do these things and go network.
I'm having a good time. We made it to season 2.
We made it to season 2. We had 12 conversations about books with good food, good friends, good fellowship.
No doubt. We wanted to get through the first year, and we did it.
It went great. It went
by fast.
Season 2's lined up already. We got some great books ahead, and the attendance is growing at these events. So I'm really looking forward to, as this thing takes off, being able to have multiple conversations, come together, do a little bit of networking locally here in the Brookfield area, and just look around the room and say, hey, I know that these are people who take some of the time out of their week to invest in themselves and read something that's going to help them improve themselves and their community around them. And you know how I feel about that, Rob. Readers are leaders.
I was waiting for it. I was waiting for it. I was even going to ask you. I was like, what's your tagline? I love it.
Jim Rohn. I'm not that clever, but my goodness, at least I found people who track this way or are curious in following what makes them tick tend to go further and tend to be more interesting.
Oh, no doubt. I know people that graduated high school or college and haven't picked up a book since then. So, doing 12 a year is not a lot. My goal this year is for 2020 is to do 20 books. So I'm on track for that. But check us out on Facebook at Books, Beer, and Network. Join the group, join the conversation, and I hope to see you at the next event. Thanks,
Cheers.
Jackson.
Thanks, Rob.